Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA predictions for WEC 53 Henderson vs. Pettis. This event will take place on December 16th, 2010 at the Jobbing.com Arena in Glendale, Arizona. I'll be giving my predictions for the 3 fights on the card, including the 2 title matches that will crown the future UFC Bantamweight champion and the WEC lightweight participant in a unification bout with the UFC lightweight champion. As UFC 124 is actually taking place tonight, there's nothing to recap, so let's get right to my predictions. My first prediction comes in the WEC lightweight division between Donald Cowboy Cerrone, who holds the record 12-3, and 15-2 Chris Ordesky. Cerrone enters the fight while enduring a very tumultuous period in his career, as he has alternated wins and losses over his last 6 matchups. While on the other hand, Chris Ordesky has won two in a row after dropping his WEC debut. Now, there aren't any odds currently posted for this fight, so I'm going to take a stab, and I'm going to put Cerrone as the favorite, paying in the rough area of $1.35, and Ordesky the underdog roughly at $3.10. Looking first at Chris Ordesky, he is primarily a kickboxer, and he has 7 career knockouts. In his last matchup, he picked up a very tight split decision victory over Ed Radcliffe. And the King, he's a fairly fast striker. He likes using both kicks, and he mixes in his punch as well. And he changes levels very well, alternating, delivering punches to the body and the head. He has good footwork. He will string together some nice combinations. And he likes to attack from different angles, which is, sometimes key to a solid striker's game. This can cause problems for an opponent who isn't expecting this. Defensively, Ordesky does a good job keeping his chin tucked nicely and his hands up. Now, in his WEC debut, he did get caught by a vicious head kick, resulting in a knockout. What happened was Ordesky turned back to retreat and create some space between him and his opponent quickly chased him down and launched a head kick and dropped him and then pounded him out. Simply this, gives credence to the protect yourself at all times motto. He has been stopped twice, both where he was dropped by shots and then pounded out, so his chin is still pretty good. And one thing Ordesky likes to do, and I like this technique, at the end of a fight or at the end of a round, he likes to storm an opponent and just fire off as many strikes as he can and hopefully steal the round or steal the fight even in the judge's eyes. And, we'll see if he does that here. Now, his opponent is a veteran of 9 WEC fights. Donald Cerrone will look to finish off his run in the WEC with a bang. Now, one thing, the jump to the UFC could offer an interesting opportunity for Cowboy. Having been defeated by the current WEC champion, Ben Henderson, on 2 recent occasions, he's not exactly in the title picture, legitimately anyway. If Cerrone can string together a series of victories in his new home, he may find himself creeping back into that picture. Now, Cowboy, he will have a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight, which I think should help him in the stand-up. He's never knocked out an opponent, but his striking can't be taken lightly. I definitely think he has some skills there. What he does do well is he strings together some punches very well. He throws the punches and kicks. He's a Greg Jackson fighter. I've seen that before with other fighters. And on multiple occasions, he has rocked an opponent, so don't take him lightly. And he showed very improved striking against Jamie Varner in his last matchup. Now, one thing Cerrone does have going for him is he has considerable submission skills. He has 10 career victories in that manner. And having watched, especially his fight against Ben Henderson, I equate the way he looks to work submissions to Velcro. He just keeps grabbing onto an opponent, even when his opponent pulls away, and he just transitions from one submission to the next, maybe a triangle to an armbar, and just keeps going, looking for the tap. Now, for this fight, I think he's going to spend some time on the feet, and I think that Cerrone will trade with Ordesky early on. Ordesky, I think his plan is to keep it on the feet, and I think Cerrone will oblige him. Now, one thing, Cowboy has had some issues with being a slow starter in the past, and Ordesky, 5 of his 7 knockouts came after the first round, so I think this fight really could come down to who can finish stronger. I think if Cerrone takes this fight to the mat, he's going to have a considerable advantage over the Canadian and should be able to dominate him there, and that's what I'm banking on for this matchup. So my prediction is Donald Cowboy Cerrone to defeat Chris Ordesky by submission. We now move to the bantamweight title fight. The winner of this matchup will leave the WEC as the organization's last bantamweight champion and will also become the first ever UFC bantamweight champ. Now, the champion, 16-1 Dominick Cruz, is riding a 6-fight win streak, while the challenger, Scott Jorgensen, has won his last 5 fights and has a record of 11-3. I think that this could potentially be the fight of the night, as both of these guys bring it every time they enter the cage. For betting purposes, I've got the champion as the favorite, sitting around $1.40, and the challenger paying out around $3.75. Now, Scotty Jorgensen began his career in the WEC predominantly as a wrestler. Coming out of a Division I school, Scotty's game was to take guys down and grind out a victory. Now, he's still very capable of doing this, and in his last fight against Brad Pickett, his takedowns did play a huge role in the victory, but Jorgensen is adding depth to his game. His striking skills have come a long way, and he's been meshing them very well with his takedowns. He likes to use head movement to set up his punches, and he isn't afraid to stand in the pocket and take the best his opponent can throw in order to land his own big punches. He has a very good shot, he works hard to complete his takedowns, and when he does get on top of an opponent, he's really difficult to shake off. He's quite adept at passing the guard, and he has skills to submit his way to a victory. And one thing I like about this kid is his mentality. He was actually promised this title shot prior to his last fight, but requested a matchup to avoid sitting for too long and took a very dangerous opponent who he did defeat. Where the challenger's base is arguably wrestling first, striking second, the champion, Dominick Cruz, is a talented striker first with a mat game to back that up. Cruz has 6 career knockouts, and in the fight with Brian Bowles where he won the title, he looked fantastic. He took some big shots from the heavy-handed champion and delivered well-timed counter-strikes in response. Cruz is incredibly light on his feet. He dances around the cage, endlessly switching up his stance in an effort to throw off his opponent's rhythm. He is hard to hit, as he likes to stay back until he sees an opportunity to navigate his way into striking range. He has good takedown skills as well, which he demonstrated against a superior wrestler in Joseph Benavidez. When these two met, Cruz used his striking to set up his takedowns and was able to score them at will. Now, Cruz is a fairly big bantamweight, having dropped down from featherweight, which usually gives him an advantage in his fights. And Cruz, he's got excellent conditioning, and because of his style, he makes his opponents work very hard, as they seem to have to chase him down in order to engage him. Cruz is elusive, but Jorgensen will do his best to get his hands on him. Now, individually, I would give the wrestling edge to Scotty and the striking edge to Dominick, but having seen what Dominick Cruz was able to do against a very talented wrestler in Benavidez on the mat, both fights, both because of the striking setup and his size advantage, Jorgensen could have some problems here. Scotty will be roughly the same size as Joseph Benavidez, and I think that was a factor in both matchups as Cruz used his reach and simply being bigger to his benefit. If this was a 3-round fight, I could see Jorgensen getting this fight to the mat and keeping it there just enough to eke out a split decision, but because it's 5 rounds, I think that Cruz's style will be very hard for the wrestler to overcome. Cruz will use his reach advantage to stay out of Jorgensen's range and pick him apart on the feet. When Scotty will look to close the distance, I think the champion will simply dance away or connect with some solid counter punches. As the fight progresses and the challenger is unable to implement his game plan, I think he'll become frustrated and start taking some chances that will leave openings to be attacked. So my prediction is Dominick Cruz to retain the title and defeat Scotty Jorgensen with a late stoppage. In the main event of the evening, the WEC lightweight champion Ben "Smooth" Henderson will square up with Anthony "Showtime" Pettis. Henderson is 12-1 and riding an 11-fight win streak, while Pettis has won 3 in a row with an overall record of 10-1. Now I peg Henderson as the betting favorite on $1.55 and Pettis paying $2.45. Anthony Pettis has submitted his last 2 opponents both to triangle chokes, and he's compiled 6 total victories via submission during his career. When he gets taken down, he likes to use the rubber guard to neutralize an opponent's top game and set up submissions of his own. The challenger is also quite dangerous on the feet. To complement his skills on the mat, Anthony has some very dangerous kicks. He rocked Alex Karalexis with a perfectly executed switch kick and stopped Danny Castilla with a ferocious head kick. He is a very tactical striker, and he's got power, and he likes to keep it to the outside of an opponent's reach, making him very hard to hit. He is good at hacking away at an opponent's legs with low kicks, and he really did a number on Karalexis' legs, noticeably slowing him down and forcing him to change stances. Now, Pettis is a dangerous striker, and he can defend himself on the mat, which makes him a legitimate threat at lightweight, whether in the WEC or the UFC. Now, Ben "Smooth" Henderson is an incredibly durable fighter. Against Donald Cerrone and against Jamie Varner, Henderson was in some very deep submission holds and managed to survive and then rally for the victory. He is a BJJ brown belt and has tapped 8 opponents, including Donald Cerrone, who had never been submitted previously. Against Varner, he locked in a very quick guillotine choke that caught everyone off guard, including Varner, and forced him to tap. Now, Ben does a good job keeping composed no matter what the situation, which helps him to avoid expending too much energy. In the standard department, he'll string together some nice combinations and is very quick with his feet, attacking up and down an opponent's body. The key to his attack is his wrestling. Smooth has a good shot, and he's like a dog on a bone when he shoots in for the single. He grabs on, and he's not going to let up until he completes the takedown. He'll take punishment, but he'll keep pushing through. Now, this is a very difficult fight to call. Pettis could use his leg kicks and slight reach advantage to pick apart the champ and potentially score a knockout. Or on the other hand, Ben Henderson could use his wrestling to put Showtime on the mat and beat him up. I don't think that Pettis will be able to submit Henderson based on Ben's past successes overcoming tough situations on the mat, which should eliminate that element. I think that Ben's best chance will be to get inside, shoot for a single, and use his wrestling to grind on him. I think this could be an epic fight, and so it should be, as it will be the last fight ever fought under the WEC banner. So my prediction is Ben Henderson to defeat Anthony Pettis by decision and move on to the UFC to challenge either Gray Maynard or Frankie Edgar, the UFC lightweight champion, in a unification bout. So there are my predictions for the three main fights that will highlight the final WEC card. The betting odds, as I said, haven't been posted yet, but you can see the betting card above. Hopefully they will post odds for the event. And thank you for checking out Kamikaze Overdrive and my predictions for WEC 53. I'll be doing one more show before the end of the year as I'll give my predictions for UFC 125 Resolution. So I will see you back here then.